everybody. My name is Sam Morgan. I'm one of the owners over at So I Heard Music. You can check us out at soiheardmusic.com. Welcome to our new YouTube channel. We're going to be doing a lot of awesome content here. We're going to be doing things like music technology tutorials. We're going to be giving advice for teachers, advice for students, interviews with students, anything that has to do with technology and music education. That's what this channel's all about. You'll also eventually see content from a couple of podcasts that we're going to be starting on this channel. But for now, we're going to dive right in and talk about something that I'm very passionate about, which is incorporating recording software into our music lessons. This video is for teachers, it's for students, it's for anyone learning an instrument at home on YouTube. I want to talk about what I've learned over the years. I've been incorporating technology into my music lessons that I teach for almost 10 years now, and I've picked up a lot of different tips and things that have worked really, really well for my students, and I'm just really excited to share this with you guys. So today we're going to be using a software called GarageBand that most of you have heard of. If you haven't, GarageBand is a software that comes with any Mac computer, and if it doesn't come right when you open up the computer out of the box, you can get it from the Mac App Store. But we're going to go ahead and just jump right in. I'm going to open up GarageBand. We're going to talk about how to use GarageBand today to make your lessons or practice time, if you're a student, a lot more fun and exciting and interesting. So this is the first screen you see in GarageBand when you open it up. It asks you to choose a track type. We're going to be doing other videos that talk all about GarageBand specifics and all the different things that you can do in it. But for today, I want to just talk specifically about how to incorporate it into your practice time or into your music lessons if you're a teacher. So the first thing we're going to do is create a software instrument. For today's example, we're going to be pretending that we're in a piano lesson and that we have a student who's maybe 5 to 7 years old. For the purposes of this video, let's say his name is John. And John has been working really hard on one of the first songs that we learn on piano, which is just kind of a C 5-finger scale. So if I create a software instrument, you can see the first thing that happens is it creates this classic electric piano track, which sounds like that. That can be cool for the students. I usually default it to a regular piano. You can see over here I can choose my instrument and just select Steinway grand piano. We're going to have much more of a natural sound that way. So the 5-finger C scale that John has been working on, just for the purposes of this example, let's say is... Right? And that, for a 5 to 7-year-old, it takes some practice. They have to really work on it. Playing the different fingers is difficult. Working with a metronome is always difficult. So what I've always done is tried to create a reward system for good practice that the student can find fun and exciting and inspiring so that they want to go home and practice again. If we can do that, then our students will always want to practice, and I believe as a teacher the most important thing about our job is inspiring and motivating to practice, because if you don't practice at home, you're not going to get better. It's that simple. So let's say that John has been practicing really hard, and so when he comes in, we want to give him a chance to record this and show him what this is all about and what you can do once you've practiced a song. So you can start at measure 1. I usually just start in the middle. It doesn't matter how much dead space is at the beginning here. And we're going to press this little circle button to record. We're also going to make sure that this 1, 2, 3, 4 button, which is our count in, and this metronome button or click button is checked. That will give us a 4-beat count in and allow John to get ready to play. We can also adjust the tempo over here, right? So this is 120 is a pretty fast tempo. Let's dial it down so that John can realistically play. And then he's going to go ahead and sit down at the piano and record. So we're going to go ahead and press the record button. You're going to hear 4 beats, and then I'm going to do my best impression of 5-year-old John playing a 5-finger C scale. So... And so once John is done recording that, you can see he didn't play exactly with the metronome. That's never going to happen, no matter how old your student is. We can double-click what we call the region over here, right? This is called a region, and that will open up what we call the piano roll view. Now this, you can see you have the piano on the side, so if I click this note, I can see it highlighted over here that this is a C. If I click this note, I can see it's a D, right? So this is a mechanism that allows us to edit the notes that were played, both in terms of pitch and timing. I can lengthen a note, I can shorten it, or I can also move it to a different beat, right? And so I don't want to make John sound like a robot. I want it to still sound like John played it, but I am going to go in and fix up any notes that were significantly off from the beat they're supposed to be on. Looking at this example, I only really see a couple here, so I might move this a little bit closer to the beat it's supposed to be. And I don't like to make it perfect, but just enough to make sure that if and when we add drums, that the drums sync up and it doesn't really sound bad to John's ear. That's the most important thing. Depending on how old my student is, I will involve them at different levels of this process. So if I have a student that is old enough to understand you did not play in time perfectly, I want to make sure that they see how we're adjusting the notes and if they came in early or late. For someone like John, I'm a big believer in motivate. You don't want to tell him all the things he did wrong right away. You want to get him excited. Remember, this is supposed to encourage him to go home and practice more, not make him feel like he didn't do a good enough job. So as you get better at this, this is the type of thing that you do really quickly, and your student usually doesn't even know that you're fixing some stuff. So once I've adjusted some of the notes, I get a recording that sounds a little bit more in time with the metronome, and that's really the goal. From there, we can start adding instruments, and this is where it gets really fun and exciting for the kids. So normally I'll go in and add a bass track next, so I might come in here, press create, and over here in the instrument selector pane, you can click bass and then choose any of these. I'll choose fingerstyle for now, and that will turn our piano into a bass instrument. Again, depending on the age of the student, I'm going to involve them at different levels here based on what I think they can handle, both from a music theory perspective and what I think is necessary from that perspective. So for 5-year-old John, I'm probably not going to explain the concept of a pedal tone just yet, and that all the notes in this C scale that fall on strong beats are part of a C chord, so we can use something called a pedal tone on C. But if my student's a little bit older and I think they're ready for that, I will incorporate that into the lesson. Here, I'm probably just going to tell John, let's practice our quarter notes. We've been working on those a lot. So if you come over here and play your note C in quarter notes, we're going to add a lot of body or depth to this song, right? So from here, I can record John playing his quarter notes. It's going to sound like this. Right? You can also go in if he was significantly off and fix it. I played close enough to the metronome that we should be okay. And then the real fun part comes when you get to add drums. So if you click the plus button up here, which is for a new track, we go over here and select the drummer track. There's a lot of different ways to do drums in these softwares, but the drummer track in GarageBand is by far the easiest, fastest, and most straight to the point. So we're going to use that for today. I'll do a whole other video on different types of drums in these softwares and how to do them and how to customize things. But for now, we're going to do the quickest and most straight to the point way. So we're going to create a drummer track. And the first thing you'll notice is that it creates this region for you without you even having to record anything. It automatically will create an 8-bar drum part starting from measure 1. So the first thing I'm going to do is we only recorded 4 bars of music. So I'm going to go ahead and shorten this to 4 measures. And then I'm going to move it over here and line it up with our music. Right out of the box, I don't have to touch anything down here in the control panel. Right away, we have drums, right? So I can see. And in my experience, every student I've ever shown this to, their eyes light up at this point. This draws the connection for them that, for me, was missing in my childhood. I was learning a lot of Mozart, Beethoven, and Bach, and I was listening to Smash Mouth, Green Day, and other 90s rock bands. And I never understood how the two worlds collided. Why was I practicing this boring scale classical stuff on piano, and it had nothing to do with the type of music that I was listening to. This connects their two worlds in a way that inspires, motivates, and excites them to go home and keep practicing, because they see, if I keep working on this, I can make even cooler songs that sound like something I want to listen to, something I can be proud of and share with my friends. And it's a huge difference maker for them. All of my students learn right away. If you are practicing at home, we're going to have a blast. We'll add drums, we'll add bass, we'll add guitars. We can add anything we want and make it a song that you're really excited about and really excited to show your friends and family. If you're not practicing at home, we have to practice in the lesson, and that tends to be a little bit more boring. So by setting up this motivation system, our students learn right away. Practice is a good thing. There's a instant reward for practice, as opposed to without doing this, the reward is much more delayed. It's hard to see why you're putting in all that work for results that you're not even that proud of. So a simple 5 to 10 minute exercise at the end of the lesson as a result of, as a reward for good practice makes a huge difference for our students as teachers. If you're a student or someone who's just learning music on YouTube, and you can do this yourself too. As you practice things, record them into GarageBand, add different elements, see what you can come up with. For me, this made a huge difference in my own practice. I went from practicing just the bare minimum and the amount that my teacher wanted me to practicing just because I thought it was really fun to get good at a piece and then turn it into something different. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope that you learned a little bit of something about GarageBand and how to incorporate it into your music education, whether you're a student, whether you're a teacher. This is really valuable stuff, and we're going to be doing a lot more tutorials of other ways to incorporate this, other ways to make music lessons in general a lot more fun and exciting. So stay tuned, hit the subscribe button, and we will see you guys next time. Thanks.